You know, you can be poor and you can survive that, but you can't be poor and have poor habits. And that's the one thing my wife and I really and truly connect on. When we first got married, we were broke as everybody, just like everybody. We had a bunch of credit card debt, we had a bunch of bad habits, and we had to sit down and come to grips and say, okay, how are we going to fix this thing? So we were poor when we first got together, but by the time we brought it all, you know, into one pot and started changing our habits, we're able to get out of it. So that's the one thing I would leave with you in terms of that. And then secondly, I think you got to have a vision for your money. That's the one thing people don't really do, I think. As accountants, we both are accountants, and we look at the financial world, and so we think differently. We think in terms of budgets, we think in terms of capital expenditures and what you're going to actually spend your money on, and we think of short-term, long-term goals. Not everybody thinks like that. They see something I wanted, let's go get it. No, when it comes to money, you only got this much. When it comes to your desires, you got this much. Somehow you got to make the two meet. And so in my role in this relationship is I try to sit down on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis and put together the vision. What do we need to have now? What do we need to have in 6 months? What do we need to have in 12 months? What do we need to have 10 years, 15 years? What do we need to have from our kids, our grandkids? There's got to be a vision, okay? And you got to start here before you can get here. And then the only other thing I would want to kind of say to you is it's a joint effort to manage a household. I like your example of the president. You got to run your house like a business, period. Whether you like it or not, you have limited resources and you have to manage those resources. So as a couple, you have to look at yourself and say, I'm the CEO, she's the CFO. Now let's look at how we're going to manage this budget, this monetary budget that we have. And that's what I want Gail to kind of draw out for you that we do. We'll kind of talk through our system.
So one of the things that Pastor Luke mentioned last night was that you come into your marriage with baggage. Some of y'all got purses and trash, and you just bring all this stuff into marriage. You also come with financial baggage. We just happened to get married early, so we didn't come into it with too much, just because we were right out of college. Yeah, we had college debt, but it wasn't a lot of baggage. But for those couples that have gotten married later in life, you have your children that you're probably still supporting. You have debt that you're bringing into your marriage. And so it's kind of hard to come into that marriage and say, we're going to bring all this together, with my money, with your money, and we're going to figure out how to do this. That's hard. So the way we've done it is our money has always been together, because we literally, when we graduated from college, made the exact same amount. He made 30, I made 30. So you might as well put it in the pot together, because it's all the same. Now, as he has moved up the corporate ladder, I came down the corporate ladder because we have kids, so I decided to not do that, not work in corporate, but our money still had to stay in the same pot. I had some insecurities with that, just because I've always said, I've always made just as much as he did. So it was like, I was like, oh, am I going to now have to submit to whatever he wants to do with the money, since he makes more money? But it just that he didn't. It just didn't work that way. I'll be honest. If you ask him how much our mortgage is, he probably can't tell you, because I pay the bills. He puts more money in the pot than I do, but I manage it on a day-to-day basis. He, on a monthly, every 3 months, like he said, he creates a vision for our money. And so, obviously with my input. And so it doesn't matter who's making more, because quite honestly, friends, sorority sisters, all that, women make more than men now. A lot of times in our relationships, regardless of who's more educated or whatever it is, a lot of women are making more than their husbands. And so then we take on the role of, well, since I make the most, then I'm going to make the decisions. But as they said, God's structure was for us to submit to our husbands. And if he is going to live under God's umbrella, he is going to do the right thing with the money. Therefore, you don't have a problem submitting whatever little money you make, whatever. If you make more money than he does, you don't have a problem submitting to him, because you know he's going to do the right thing which then leads you have to trust each other. So as he said, if you trust each other with your body, you can lay in bed naked with this man, you should be able to give him your money. He should be able to give you his money. He should be able to have your names on the same account, because I trust that you're not going to do something with the money that I don't agree with. Now, it doesn't mean that...
Go ahead. And I'll just add one thing, and I hope I'm stepping on anybody's toes, but it's so funny that my wife and I, when we go out to dinner with some of our friends, and they sit at the table and they get the bill and they push the bill to one another.
They divvied it up between one another, and they have 2 kids, so one will pay for one child, one will pay for the other child. I don't know how you do it.
And I struggle with that because at the end of the day, if she pays for something and her pot gets short, at some point my pot has got to help her. So at the end of the day, it's still coming from one pot, whether you like it or not. It's just that I have this little control and this apparent authority over this little bitty pot that she doesn't know anything about. But if I run short, she's going to have to help me.
Right.
One way or the other. So it's all going to be one pot.
At some point, it's going to all trickle down into the same pot. Because you're not going to let him not eat. You know what I'm saying? And so, and that's not to say that I have to call you every 5 minutes. You need to call me and say, Gail, can you buy the granola? It was $50. Yeah, I can do that. And she brought me out last night because I forgot to tell her. So, I turned around and I was like, oh yeah, by the way. But I don't have to run and ask. Now, my aunt passed and we needed to contribute to that $500, $600, $700. I'm going to call him and say, listen, I'm getting ready to do so-and-so. So, don't go out and buy a car and come home and say, baby, I bought a car, my payments are going to be $600 a month. Because that's a serious, but you can go buy lunch and you don't have to tell them. You go buy a pair of shoes for $50 and not tell them, but you can't go buy a pair of $2,000 shoes and not tell them. So it's just a matter of respect, and everyone's threshold is different. If $25 matters, then yes, you need to call about $25. If it doesn't, then you know what I'm saying? It's just a mutual respect. You have to trust each other with the money. So that's on that.
And let's delve into the structure, because a lot of this stuff is our personal philosophy, and that gets a little hairy sometimes. But at the end of the day, as a couple, you got to run your finances as a business, and the way you do that is by reporting and accountability.
So really quickly, you did put it right place. So at the end of the day, it all is, and I'm gonna say revenues, just because that's our term, but it's cash in. How much is coming in the door? And don't get me wrong, there is room for separate accounts. If you have a business, you have your own business, and your wife works at a company or something, she has a more steady, you have a business, you need, for tax purposes, you need to do different reporting, that's fine. You need to pay yourself out of that business, that's fine. You don't mix your accounts because the IRS is going to have a problem with that. Yeah. So there is room for that, but
But when it comes to your house,
your household is cash in. It's whoever's bringing it in, doesn't matter. It's cash in the door, and then there's expenses, which is cash out the door. Right? So everybody knows those terms, and the bottom line equals either you're going to have a net income, which is a positive, or a net loss. Okay, so if you do not monitor these two, that which is not monitored will go awry. If you do not know what's coming in, you get one thing, you get one thing. Even within yourself, your own money. If you don't know what's coming in, how do you know what you have?
well, and the funny part about this is that I notice when we ever talk to couples that have issues with finances, people make decisions of what they desire, but they don't talk about what actually is coming in. So we look at each other and we say, we want a Lexus. How can we make a decision and have a Lexus if we don't know what's coming in?
There gonna be Lexus money. You have Lexus money coming in. But the Lexus dealership's gonna tell you that you have enough money.
That's right.
You decide what's enough money based on what's going out. So if you have kids in college, you can't afford a Lexus. Depending on your level of money is what I'm saying. You have to decide. So this to me is what you really need to monitor is what's going out. At the end of the day, if you know what's coming in and you know what's going out, so we said you have to have a household budget. You cannot just spend and spend and spend and get money in and get money in. You don't know where it's going.
And let's break that down a little further. You know what your monthly income is, okay? You know what you can spend by week, okay? And literally, that you may have some flows. Some weeks you can spend more than others, but you know you got to pull from one place and push in another. At the end of the day, you got that much money. Now, what comes into play here is your fixed cost versus your variable cost. Okay, your fixed cost, you got to pay rent, you got to eat, you got to pay utilities. You have no choice. That has to come out. So once you finish that, you have what's left. Your discretionary income, your variable income, your variable expenses. That's where your desires come in. That's why I sit down with people and tell them all the time, you gotta control, you gotta have the discipline over your personal physical desires. If you don't have control over that, your budget is gone. It's shot. Prime example. Yes, you need to get to work. Do you need to get to work in a Lexus or do you need to get to work in a Volvo? Or a Volkswagen? Okay. You need to put clothes on.